So I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Town of Ulysses Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. Today is Wednesday, September 13th. It is 5:30 p.m. I am Ann DePetta. I am the chair. Could we do a roll call and ask, could everyone just kind of state their name and their position?
Morris Klein, Planning Board.
Neil Stevenson, Town Planner.
Liz Weatherby, Town Board.
Rebecca Schneider, Planning Board.
Roxanne Marino, Conservation Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Excellent, thank you. Our first item on the agenda, our second item after our roll call, is the approval of our agenda. So I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to see the agenda. Does anyone need a copy? Okay, looks like everybody has it. Do we have any changes? Looks like our agenda is, we're going to approve the past minutes. We'll have privilege of the floor. We'll have one old business item, which is the consultant request for qualifications. We have our new business item is community visioning and next steps. Any changes to that?
No.
Hi, Rose.
No.
Hi.
I'm good with the agenda as is.
Me too.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Wonderful. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, super. Hi, Kate. Next item on our
everyone.
agenda. Hey there. Next item on our agenda is approval of the past minutes. So again, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was able to review the past minutes and see if there were any changes or corrections to be made.
I reviewed the minutes and I was okay with them. I thought they were well prepared again. Details were good. So,
Agreed. I had to abstain, but I think because I wasn't here for that one.
Okay, gotcha. I'm still here. I'm just realizing I have to plug my computer in. Sorry. Okay, so thank you for that. Any other comments or changes? Are we good with the minutes? If so, we can take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Any opposed? All right.
You're
Next.
Yeah, I said I was abstaining, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, so next item is the privilege of the floor. I cannot see if there's anyone in the room, so you guys will have to tell me.
There's nobody here.
Okay. So I guess that means we can just go past that one, since we don't have anyone here to speak during that section. So let's move on to our new business item. Or I'm sorry, our old business item, which is the consultant request for qualifications. Niels, is that going to be you that leads that discussion, or?
Yep, sure, I can start.
Thank you.
So just high level comments and received. So acronyms, various acronyms that we use for the comp plan steering committee, the comp plan update, seeker, all that stuff's been consistent now. Spelled it all out first time, acronym second time. Inclusive language, wasn't just stakeholders, so every time you see stakeholders, we all.
Not sure if I'm frozen or,
I can hear you.
you can, do they look frozen to you?
They sure do.
Okay.
I'm gonna
so-
text Liz.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. You guys froze up. Did we freeze up? Oh, you guys are
Oh,
on
they're
mute.
muted.
I don't know how to unmute them.
So
Yep, they're
then
fixing.
take out it's not in the which provides residence. It's
Can you hear us now?
somewhere else.
Now we can, yes, thank you.
So I'll backtrack just in case
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
tech issues. So all the terminology for acronyms and everything's now been consistent regarding the comp plan update, seeker, comprehensive plan steering committee, all that stuff. For inclusive language, anytime you see the word stakeholder, we also put in public, just in case there's any confusion there. For the first part, what was intro background, that's kind of been changed a little bit, but we included language for what we settled on was quote abundant outdoor recreational opportunities. We didn't necessarily spell out bike, hiking, kayaking and all that stuff. We also referenced in several portions the CSC grant with hyperlink to that and included specific climate element portion, the section of that in the scope of work. We included a huge section there. And is also it's referenced under the candidate qualification component. Same thing with baseline assessments that we need to do as part of that grant. Under each of the elements, we have an assessment that will need to be done. We clarified more attendance and responses of the consultants. So we anticipate that roughly every 2 weeks, they'll respond to us just so that we have, and by us, I mean staff, so that I have time to get their materials and get it all online and to the public. Let's see. But that they would be here for public meetings, and especially if there's any sort of technical data memorandums that is going to be done, they would be at those meetings or hearings just so that they can present that and staff could assist as needed. But that their expectation is that they'd be engaging more with staff and the committee, not directly responding to all the single individual emails from the public. But and we can flesh that out more in the PIP once we have a consultant, and we can, very fine tune what we expect their involvement is going to be as far as that's concerned. I think there was I think Rose, you had a question on if additional ideas come up or concerns, how we can flesh that in. So for each element, sort of a catch-all, it's like other ideas that pop up. You get to do that. Other duties as assigned, basically, if you're getting the job. We took out the driver's license issue, but that they did need to be able to physically attend as needed for meetings. And that meetings, there will be an expectation that there would be some topic specific forms and facilitation that they'll need to participate in. Development of online interactive tools is listed in several sections, including deliverables that they will be giving to the town. And it's also listed as a candidate qualification, including development, educational, promotional, and engagement materials that they'll be doing regular reports as well, either on a 2-week or monthly basis. Mention of Tompkins County GIS maps and data sets that can be available to offset costs has been in there. Ideally, having local knowledge of issues for Ulysses and Tompkins County has been in there. We anticipate towards the end, we'll put in a page of full of hyperlinks that has all the town, state policies that they'll need to be compliant with. DEC mentioned that we can just put in the budget and their work plan. So I'll touch base on that work plan issue, but we're just gonna use their work plan for the qualification thing at this point. I think the last thing I was gonna touch base on is we didn't put in a matrix as points for what they're gonna be graded on, like 10 points for this, 20 points for that. I figure that can be more fleshed out later because some do very narrow scopes, like only 100 points. I've seen others that go to 1,000, so we can flesh that out a little bit later. Both legal and budget and DC should be able to give me comments by next Tuesday, so that's also when I requested if there's any last minute changes or amendments anyone would like to see, to please let me and Molly know.
Do you want comments at this point or,
Yeah.
okay, one, it's very, very thorough and detailed. So as a plan for the comp plan, as we move forward, it's like, there it is, that's everything we need. It's like the ideal. It's long, it's like it's really like, here's everything we need ever, that we love to have. But it's so, you almost have like 3 PhD theses in there, like when you have the housing part and all the details for the housing part, and then the economics for the housing part. And now you all do this way more than I do. To me, this is like a $250,000 project through a consulting firm. I don't know what our budget is, if that's what it is, and all power to it. But if not, I think it's maybe a lot more than what a consulting firm would look at this and go, all right, this is 4 persons full-time for 6 months, that's good. So the scope seems to me to need to be narrowed down. Again, I don't do this as much like you guys do, so maybe this is fine. The second one I would like to, when you asked for deliverables, you didn't say GIS layers. We want the GIS data layers, and they need to be able to do that. So PDF says what we look at is good, but the GIS data layers is what they need to be working in to do any of the mapping, and so if they doesn't say in there that they need that, they have to have that expertise, and we need to have the data layers at the end because that's the tool that everybody uses these days.
That's in there, so.
Okay, I missed that under deliverables under.
Cold
at the
shape
beginning.
files. So,
Okay. Okay, sweet. My bad. All right, and the last one is, it all has them taking kind of the lead on writing things, but I want us to have the final control on the writing, right? Okay, I mean, it kind of says that in there, the CPS will work with kind of you, but I would just emphasize that this is our document.
Yep.
They're gonna give us something, but we have the final say and we can edit the crud out of it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so those were just otherwise I thought it was very thorough and comprehensive and detailed and incredibly impressive, but maybe a little bit too long for what we can afford or what they normally would see. And does anybody have any other experience with submitting one of these? Have you done,
For this town, I have, but
is this
you have
normal?
for a much
23
larger
page?
municipality.
I've done it for several, over almost 2 decades.
Over
Okay, so you've been done.
of something of this size for 5,000 people, rural community.
So,
Because boy, this sounds like, we're like, a city of 50,000 or something, and this grew from like 11 pages to 23 pages. And I had the exact same thought as Rebecca when I was reading it, like how much our grant is for like $55,000, and maybe the town board is thinking of putting more in, but like, I can't imagine someone bidding on this, for anything even close to $55,000. And I mean, it even says that the proposal could include individual firms or a team of firms consisting of a prime consultant and sub consultants. Like we're only a town of 5,000 people. Why do we need a team of firms to help us do a comprehensive plan? The last time we did it, we had a consultant and they helped us, iterated with us to do the plan, gather all the information that was needed. There's also a lot of information that can be gotten from the county and from other things. And so I feel like this, as Rebecca said, is very thorough, but it's like also seems way over the top.
I don't know if you've looked at the the village's comprehensive plan, but you know, they produced a 200-page document. And I'm not sure what their budget was, but
Right, I'm talking about,
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I think the village is smaller,
right,
so I don't know that this is too much, but
I mean, we can go for it, right? I mean, we can submit it, and if they all say, sure, we'll do that, I mean, all power, all right, great. Again, I like it because it's really detailed and I'll really thought through every step we need to go. You might get back, you gotta be kidding. In which case, maybe we, at that point, we'll go, all right, we need to
So
decide where the
it's gonna
priorities.
slow us down a
All
lot
the
though.
stuff is needed in the comprehensive plan.
Yep,
Yeah,
And coming from the other side, reviewing this, like, when we submit proposals and there's clearly out the tasks that are identified, it makes our job preparing the proposals easier. Cause you just take it and you put it in your own words and you put your spin on it. I do really like the fact that the deliverables are spelled out, because then that gives us something to compare all the different proposers to each other. So if we are going to consider taking anything out, maybe it's the specific tasks, not and like narrowing them
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Where it makes the proposer think a little and tell us like what they would do. Cause that's more open-ended in terms of how they're gonna address the different topics, but the deliverables are things that we want in hand, and I think we definitely should leave that.
I like that.
Yeah. If somebody's going to bid on it, they're gonna know exactly what we want. If we don't show them this, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the meeting, we say, oh, wait a minute, we want this, now they're gonna have to add on. So at least here you get everything, the person will say, okay, well, most of this is gonna be public knowledge anyway. I mean, a lot of this that you read up. So I think, yeah, just leave it the way it is and let's see what we come up with. If somebody says, well, no, this is like, you know, a $300 project. Then, I mean, a $300,000 project, then we
Yeah.
can maybe narrow it down, but most of this has to be answered anyway.
Right.
In one way or the other, it has to be answered. So if we
I'm cool
don't
with
put
that.
it in, if we don't put it in, and then we want it later on, we're just gonna get charged for it anyway. So we might as well just let it go and see what happens.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think, I agree with that. And as a, you know, as my day job, a consultant, I would be very happy to see an RFP that was as detailed and clear. I think it's really obvious what we want. And I think it also makes scoring, you know, applicants a lot easier once we, you know, once it comes time to like develop a scoring rubric on how someone is going to be chosen. I think this actually will be a nice tool for that as well.
Great.
Yeah, anything else? Caitlin, did you have anything you wanted to add on?
Sorry, I was trying to get myself off mute.
RFQ?
No, I think I concur. I mean, I think that we can eliminate any excessive language, but at the end of the day, which could probably, you can always edit things down to be a little bit more concise. But I think at the end of the day, I agree with the point that these are all things we want to see in it. And so making sure that we get what we want is good. And we're going to see, my guess is we're going to get responses that provide quite a range in estimated costs. I know that happened the last time the town put out an RFP for IT services. We saw everything from like $50,000 to almost $200,000. So I bet I would anticipate getting a range as well, but I thought it was very well written.
Okay, is there any other discussion or?
On the matrix, you made a comment about the matrix isn't in here yet. Were you actually thinking of, that's more our internal matrix, right? Our scoring matrix of how we're gonna evaluate this.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to put that in here.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
I've worked with some RFQs that have had that in there, and we chatted about it last time, but I still left it out. Just
Yeah, we talked about how they're gonna be
Yeah.
ranked in like the criteria we're gonna look at, and grade in terms of
Yeah, I think, if
comparables, I think that's fine.
I think if they've done this before, they know exactly what we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about.
We're not gonna get any new firms that have never done this before.
Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying, so they know the routine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I like the schedule up on the first page. I thought that was the selection time frame. That's always good to know. But my question is, will DEC work with us on that? Like, are they gonna meet those deadlines too?
Jesus,
Let's
let's assume no, given what my experiences with another board on one.
That's, yeah, that's a little short.
Ask for another update. So,
How do you post this? I mean, you don't just put it into the classified ads, do you? Or do you send it to all the consulting companies in the area?
we'll do typical postings, we'll put it out to the different planning boards, agencies around here.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
do it to the EPA.
Mm. Okay,
Other ideas, anyone with suggestions?
yeah, I didn't think I'd see it in like, like a journal.
The Seneca. The newspaper, the shopper.
Well, there's a whole planning.
Yeah.
There's consultants that do this, I would assume.
Yeah.
So what's your experience with, like, what's your expectation of ranges of responses? I mean, from past experience, it's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Okay.
I mean, and we'll have language in the budget of what that parameter is, but even if you say we only have a budget of 10,000, you'll get people's, proposing a budget of 100, or like Galen said, 200.
Mhm.
It's just part of that weeding out process.
Okay.
Can we
Yeah,
put it
the
in the town newsletter also?
There's the Association of Towns, and they have a monthly or quarterly news magazine. That might be a good group to put a little advertisement in there.
The town magazine, that one.
It's probably that, but I'm thinking it's the New York State Association of Towns.
Yeah, we get
Yeah.
the magazine.
Yeah,
all the
that
time.
might be a really good place to advertise it.
But unfortunately, it's proposals are due by 27th. You wouldn't be able to get it in there
Right.
out by that time.
They're due by September 27th.
No,
No,
Okay.
October
Oh.
27th.
October, month turnaround.
And if that's a monthly or a quarterly type of.
Right.
magazine, it would be
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good idea, but I don't know
Yeah,
if we
no,
have time
gotcha.
to do that.
when's this going out? So they have 6 weeks, right, as of right now to get a proposal in? Yeah, I guess 4 weeks would be, yeah, that's good.
I was thinking a month after town board gives our blessing, but that's a good point as far as.
I would love 4 weeks for proposal turnarounds. They're more on 2 to 3 weeks now.
I was gonna say, I think 4 weeks is lovely. You're lucky if you get 4 weeks.
If you don't get enough, you can always
I was
just
like,
extend it a little bit longer.
That's true. Okay, anything else on
So,
the
are we so-
RFQ?
I have questions about the details of this. Like the way that it's laid out, the EIS is way up at the beginning, like it sounds like it's one of the first things you do. And are you talking about the environmental impact statement? Because I thought that that's in the past, that's like something that's done when you have the draft that goes to the town board to go to a public hearing. It's not something that you do in the beginning. It's not even developed yet. So I'm confused about the layout of that. And it says that the EIS is going to aid in decision-making for the comp plan update. So, and it's this building block for future environmental analysis within the town. And it's an analysis of the document once it's done. So I'm confused about why prepare the draft EIS is really high up in the beginning.
It's either, my take is that EIS is. There's a number of ways that. Comp plans can be challenged, and procedural and environmental review is one of the easiest low-hanging fruits. I'm not sure if anyone's ever experienced the challenge that comp I've gone through too. And it's very expensive and laborious, but that said. It's either it goes at the very top, which I think the environmental review is very important for this, or you stick at the bottom. It's one of the things that's going to be throughout the process though. So the draft EIS is basically done. A lot of that work and research is going to help him, with our decision-making process.
Mhm.
The draft EIS and the draft comp plan kind of proceed in tandem.
I've never seen that happen before,
I
so
think
that's
actually, I think it's a
confusing.
good idea because whatever we decide, we first have to know what the impact is gonna be on the town of Ulysses.
But we don't have a document that says anything about. How do you evaluate the impact if you don't have the document? So you know what you're
This is just
evaluating,
future impact, what
Right.
would happen.
right? But I don't understand how you evaluate that when you're first getting the information to make the document. I've just never seen that or experienced that before in any of the planning things that we've done here, so it's very different, and I'm just trying to understand how that works versus other EISs, which are almost always when there's a final thing to consider the impacts of, then you do that document for the public, and then you get input and you go back and iterate if there are significant impacts that are people see in what you've got.
I don't-
So
I mean, are you proposing to have the EIS completed before the, like, a neg deck issued before the comp plan is even drafted? I wouldn't expect that. I would think that we're kind of compiling a lot of the survey and initial existing conditions data is gonna be a lot similar between what the comp plan is gonna say about existing conditions and what we're gonna base off our future goals and condition, or goals and visions for in the comp plan would be the same as the EIS existing conditions. And then it's kind of gonna be back and forth in tandem in a collaboration between the EIS and the comp plan. They get filed together. And you have their scoping statement too, as long as while you're doing scoping
I was
for
gonna
the
say,
comp plan too.
think of it maybe
There's-
like in three components, there's scoping,
Yeah,
the draft EIS, and then your final EIS. But just a little clarification, like. We're not gonna be issuing a neg deck. I mean, EIS
No.
is, neg deck means you don't have to do an EIS, but we're gonna
I
presume.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna presume that there are gonna be issues that we're gonna have to mitigate for.
Yeah.
And that's what that EIS is all about.
Okay, because it's just the second thing, prepare the EIS after an existing conditions report. And so that confuses me.
Are you talking about like future, like if a manufacturing plant, a 50,000 square foot manufacturing plant, what the impact would be?
No, so what is helpful is when a jurisdiction does a comp plan, like periodic one like this, we'll do an EIS.
Mhm.
And then for any subsequent amendments we need to make to the comp plan within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If we do an update every 10 years,
Oh, I see, okay.
we can just rely on that EIS and say, hey, we did this back 10 years. We have a comp plan to change. A designation from this to this or whatever. And we say, well, we've already considered, this potential impact, so we don't have to re-go through all this all over again. We're just gonna adopt this EIS again.
Mhm.
So that's what that is setting us up with.
So they're both running together, basically, okay. I get that.
Well, I guess it makes sense to have your draft document and do an EIS to try to head off any potential issues, and then you can modify your document based on what you found.
So scoping comes first, and that's when we say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, we anticipate these changes and maybe these impacts. And then we go through our analysis, we go through our drafts, comp plan update, all that stuff, we do our draft GIS. And then if something additional comes up, that's when we can change that.
Okay.
And we make those changes, we just document. And then we issue our final EIS and our final draft, or, final.
so it
the-
might be first, just
sorry.
so it doesn't get lost.
But the way you just said it is the way that I've always understood it to happen, but that's not really the way. The layout of this confuses me, and maybe you just went subject, topic by topic, and it's not the flow of how things would be done. I guess is why I got confused, because yeah, it's like the right up there, the first thing after you get the existing conditions, you do an EIS, but there's nothing to do an EIS on, other than, yeah, you can do scoping. So, I mean, maybe when consultants read it, they just go, it's task by task, and then they don't feel like there's a flow to the way you want them to do it. So it just confused me, the layout, but if that's what you're saying, that EIS is after the document, that makes sense to me.
So maybe it's just switching around. Because we have, so I'm trying to, we have the general, we have a scope of work, and the first thing is the comprehensive plan framework.
Right.
And then maybe we just go do the public outreach. Like EIS just makes its own
Right.
task.
I mean, maybe it follows along as we go, but the EIS itself is actually way nearer to when you have a document. Yeah, there's community visioning, there's all the things that it seems like really happen first and along the way, and everything in the gathering of the data and everything. This is a really big emphasis on the EIS.
And
it's-
it's looking at page 3 at the bottom, environmental analysis. It helps in that confusion. I can take out EIS and just say the environmental analysis.
Yeah,
And then, but I still would very much suggest we keep the environmental analysis up in the front, and that definitely should be a main grading point, I think, for consultants. If they don't understand, New York State's EIS process or secret process, then that should be a big red flag.
I mean, we should get a proposal, and there should be a whole line item for the EIS that would be
Right.
separate from the comp plan,
right.
is what I would expect to see from consultants.
Right, and it seems like it goes with in the structure of it. After you've got the draft, we also expect them to do an EIS, which is different than an environmental analysis, which I agree that we need. So was my confusion on those two terms. So, and not prepare a draft EIS. I think it's the environmental analysis maybe, which is number 2 on page 4, I guess. They should definitely be clear that they need to know New York State's rules on that, and that we want them to help us with that as part of the whole process.
I have a question about, just maybe clarification. There's a reference to PPP in one document and a PIP in another. Synonymous? Are they different?
Should only say PIP in this one, which is the public improvement plan. Previously, I was using public participation plan, but I think I got one out there with this. Came up with it, which just sounds
Okay.
better.
Okay.
But same thing.
All right, yeah, no, I think that's consistent in that document, but the other one that you attached, the DEC one, is a PPP.
Yeah.
But it would satisfy that
That's my point.
requirement, okay.
And
But so I just,
And when we finalize that with the consultant, it'll be probably, I'm presuming PIP, and that's what the document, the public will
okay,
actually say.
Great.
Okay, so do we need to recap any changes or fixes here? Do we need a vote on anything? Do we have anything else to discuss?
I mean, I have other questions, but I mean, I guess I can ask you at another time if there's not enough time in this meeting. I mean,
About half hour left.
the task was to read through it and come prepared to ask questions. Right?
And then
Yeah, that's good.
if you have any
Right.
suggested amendments.
I do have
by next Tuesday.
suggestions regarding places to put in things that are more targeted, really focus sustainability and all. But so I have a question on page 14, which is it's right at the top there, and it's prioritize reductions in I think this has to do with the greenhouse gases. Sorry, let me see.
What section?
Climate change and resiliency. So that's page 13, and then page 14 says prioritize reductions that benefit overburdened communities in order to maximize the co-benefits of reduced air pollution and environmental justice. And I'm just wondering,
What is that?
what are we talking about? Like, what are the overburdened communities that we're concerned about? I mean, some of this just sounds to me like it's pulled out of something that is for a much more urban suburban area. And so I'm just curious for us, what sort of things are we targeting there?
So overburdened communities is a term that has some extra distinctions. I think for Tompkins County, the term overburdened community is a specific geographic region. I think I live in that region. It's near the inlet. There's a lot of unhoused that live there.
Oh my
Right.
God, we were just talking about that today.
But do we have one here?
Well, it's not just unhoused, it's not just marginalized
Right, I know.
persons, but it's also people that live below the poverty level. It's people who are struggling. So, or that's the broader context of what, or definition of what an overburdened community. So I don't have the data, but yes, I'm almost positive we have members of the public who could be and probably are considered overburdened. And when, say, the town in the future works on a specific housing plan, or if we work with the county on a housing plan, and there's going to be funds potentially for low-income housing, undoubtedly that's going to be tied to federal funds. And as part of federal funding, doing a NEPA analysis, we have to ensure that, you know, we're not doing anything that's going to impact, you know, that environmental justice for those people, wherever they may be. So.
Okay, so the consultant's going to identify where the overburdened communities are in our town.
The census
target.
data gets really tricky the lower you go.
I'm just wondering how one does that here, that's
Well,
all.
remember, in the next 10 years, what could happen here in Ulysses? More farmland is being sold and
Right,
more houses are going up, so
right.
you have to plan for the next 10 years, not for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, no, you have to plan for housing.
Right.
I was asking about that particular target
Right.
within the climate resiliency and reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and things, and
Yeah,
who was how that was. I didn't quite see that for here, so.
Community tie, is that being tied to like the CLCPA and the disadvantaged communities?
I don't
Um,
think we're defined as a
No,
disadvantaged
we're not.
community
and
here.
We don't,
That's a geographic region. So
right,
it's not just geographic regions when we're talking about overburdened.
Right,
communities.
so that's different, yeah.
So I just
Right.
want to jump in and mention Caitlin has her hand up.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to, I didn't want to interrupt, but just for a little context, I know in our summer camp program this year, we had multiple households that are actually unhoused with children in the program. And these are well-known people in the community. So that actually does exist. I don't have any numbers on what it exists broadly, but I do know the school district is dealing with that situation, and we were dealing with it as a town related to our summer camp program.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning whether it existed. I was just questioning whether we have like the side, something that we're gonna do is gonna to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions and things like that which is looked at on a much larger scale for environmental justice than
more traffic.
here. So that's all. And then I had another one if nobody else does, but if someone else does, go ahead. So on page 15, then going down to rural. And it says analyze, rural, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I just lost that. Oh, there, okay. Shouldn't touch this. Agricultural forested lands measures to protect rural lands from low density sprawl while ensuring population growth targets can be met. Almost everywhere else it says to the maximum extent possible for things, and I really think it should say to the maximum extent possible for that if protecting agricultural land and local rural character is going to come out in the visioning again as something that this town cares about, because you could have a very, a big target for population growth, and we do need to grow our population, obviously, to stay, viable and vibrant, but we really do have to think about how it fits in with agricultural land. And if you just look at what's going on around us, I'm sure everybody got the big postcard right over in Enfield about that whole farm that's carved up into
Oh,
a
yeah.
ton
No, I
of
didn't get
little,
I did not.
yeah.
I don't
And,
get that.
and also that, you know, there's another big parcel
Send me
that's
that.
currently in sustainable
It's
ag.
Something acres.
Being
Yeah.
split up into several.
It's
And
right up
it's-
in, it's right on, up in Enfield. It's not very far from here.
It's
And
being
what's
split up
happening?
into what?
They're being sold.
Yeah, it's being,
individual
it's
to
being,
for pieces.
Okay.
it's being carved up into not farmland anymore, but small parcels. So I mean, that kind of stuff just is happening everywhere. Maybe it's inevitable for our town, but I think it's a really key thing that we need to be discussing in this comp plan. Unless when we do the community surveying and visioning, it doesn't come out that agriculture is important to the community into the future here, and then in which case it's a different focus on growth and there's a ton of focus in here on infrastructure too, which makes it sound like that's our main focus. And so, you know, maybe that will be, but I think if we're gonna care about keeping agriculture and rural character the way in the last comp plan, people were highly really wanted, it was like the number one thing, then we need to keep it in mind is all. So I'd like to add, I can put my comments, but I'd like to say to the maximum extent possible there also.
Well, yeah, Ulysses is known for their farmland.
Right, but if you say ensuring population growth targets can be met, you know, to protecting rural land, so I think we should just say to the maximum extent possible. And, you know, maybe the comp plan will come out really different than it was last time. We don't know yet because we haven't heard from the public. You know, we all know what we think here, we like and care about it, the town. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne. Any other comments on that or discussion on that topic?
I was just, Neil, in the housing, is there something about cluster homes, you know, or?
Nothing.
I don't see it, and I thought I did see it, but I don't see it, no. Because that would help with land development if somebody did take a 300-acre farm and split it up, at least cluster houses could be built in instead of breaking them up into 2-acre lots.
So that's under the rural
It's been
element.
proposed
Oh, it is?
Many
Okay, that's why I
times.
couldn't find it.
and shot down
But it
every
is in
time
there.
so far.
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a quick one. You kind of dealt with it, but a lot of the resiliency focus is on like energy and greenhouse gas emissions, but I think really the issue of precipitation, flooding is
Water,
gotta
yeah.
be, and then water and then droughts. I just
Yeah.
think that deserves a little bit more emphasis. I think that's what we're gonna really be dealing with. I mean,
Yeah.
Leominster, Massachusetts had 11 inches of rain on Sunday and it destroyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I lived
And-
pretty close to it at one time.
Did you?
Yeah, I lived right above it
Wow.
in Ridge, New Hampshire. And I'm telling you, if they had 10 inches of rain, I don't know, because they're not really on flat land or anything. They're on a hilly area.
Still washed them out. I
And
know.
I know the main street, and they said the main street had like, I don't know, a foot of water on it. I can't even see that because there were bankings going over it. So the water had to run off somewhere.
And then, so they had it, Vermont had it in July, and I just know it's, all right, we're in that same kind of
And I
belt.
know the town.
What are we gonna
Vermont had it.
do if we get 10 inches of rain? You know, it's like, okay, I think that's really like, to me, one of the top priorities. And
Well, I
what this town needs to prepare for.
I worked in Brattleboro. Brattleboro was on a hill.
Yeah,
The hospital's on the top of the hill.
yeah,
Brattleboro got flooded.
oh, yeah, Okay.
The whole area was flooded, the whole town was flooded, and that's on the Connecticut River, but it's,
Yeah.
the Connecticut River did not flood. It was a little stream that was coming down
yeah,
that turned into a tremendous
Yeah.
river. And it destroyed a lot of houses and a lot of buildings and
Yeah.
a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
Just because of that.
yeah. I
And they
would.
never expected it. I mean, never
nobody's-
did that ever
that's the point, We're
happen.
not really,
In their history,
Yeah.
did that stream ever get that big?
yeah. So anyway, that's, to me, it needs a little bit more emphasis on being resilient to these climate extremes. It's in there, but it's
Right.
kind of like mixed in with a lot of other stuff, greenhouse gas emissions and climate change and then drought and all that stuff. So
So I
That's
guess two questions to you, just to make
Mhm.
sure. So on page 13, so there's the environmental and natural resources, there's something on there that says. Review drainage, flooding, stormwater
Okay.
runoff,
I'm on page 13.
Yes.
Under
G.
drainage, flooding, storm in the town, you by your station provide.
And then
Those destroy the pollutant surface waters. So that's
that's
looking
fine.
at the water pollution piece. Uh-huh.
And then there, so the correlation then would be 5, suggesting goals and policies.
Mhm.
And then for the climate change, I thought I had
Flooding.
address.
Let me just highlight that
natural-
part.
So.
Climate change and resilience.
B33.
Okay.
Address natural hazards. Aggravated by climate change, landslides, flooding,
Smoke.
smoke.
Yeah, see, it's just. It's kind of buried. I think I would separate it as 2 separate ones, honestly. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's like the precipitation's the key. Anyway, it's all there. Yes, it's a lot.
So if I can-
And it
I mean,
is
we-
important. Especially for some,
And-
for today, yes, it is.
But perhaps as Caitlin was saying, it could be condensed a little, some, I mean, this goes down to an incredibly granular level
Yeah, it does.
of things, and that maybe it could just be condensed, and that those things can be more, broadly bulleted as the important things, and there is granular level below that, but as we iterate with them, we can talk about that. And it just makes it a little less overwhelming and long too.
It is a great conversation for us, so, because like, for
Yeah.
instance, the landslide issue, in these big rain events, I'm worried about our steep slopes, and we're getting a little casual about, oh, okay, they're clearing some land in our steep slopes. And it's really the trees that'll keep that whole thing from sliding down, look at Haiti, if you want to see what happens when these big rain events come, so. For our planning board and for this conversation, this is something we really, this is important, so I think just putting a little. Hey, guys, we're gonna really be talking about this one. This is the droughts, the floods, smoke and wildfire. I hope to God we don't have that. I mean, we don't get to that.
We can't do much about it if it comes, but.
That's the other one.
But it's true about slides, because that can happen if we had 10 inches of rain here.
Yep.
We don't know if some of this ground is unstable, especially if it's sitting on ledges.
Yep.
Because it just becomes just like a sliding
Oh,
path.
that happened in Lodi really intensely.
Oh, right, remember that?
And I mean, I think it's happened
So-
on 80, actually, in some places, so.
Just sorry to jump in here. So just to give a little time check, we're at 6:20. So Niels, I'm guessing you are noting all of these suggestions.
I am, and again, anyone has any additional comments, please send those by Tuesday.
By Tuesday, okay. Anything else on that topic? Thank you. I think that's important. Is there anything else we want to talk about with the flooding and the?
I'm sure we'll be doing lots of talking.
Right,
Yeah.
I have one thing about the specific tasks under environment and natural resources there. Should
What
we
page?
somehow, it's the bottom of page 12, should we? Indicate somehow that a lot, I mean, it goes to how much work they need to do and how much this could cost, and them understanding that there are a lot of available resources, because, for example, we have some of these documents already pulled together, we have the wetland map that the town, the county has the rear plant, the unique natural areas. We're gonna have an assessment of groundwater and lake water and potable water, we're doing that as a separate project in parallel with the town, so, there's quite a few soils map, we have that, I mean, there's a whole lot of things, I mean, they can be pulling them together, but they don't need to generate them, and this could seem like, wow, like that in and of itself could take months. But a lot of it exists, so maybe something that indicates, pulling together, working with the town and the committee who know where these things are to pull together any available resources on this, maybe just to let them
Well, that's
know
the
that.
consultant's job.
I know, but this makes it sound like they will need to create a lot of these things, and they're already existing is all. I'm just.
So
asking
you're suggesting, Roxanne, like with support from the
Or just
town
adding a
and the
little
committee or
wording
something?
that somehow gives an indication that a lot of this already exists and just needs to be pulled together.
So there's two sections in here, one about GIS data again, that the county has that we can utilize, but there's also a section in there for technical data that we might have, like this information, maybe culverts information that, you know, for our water lines that Scott might be able to give that we've already, I think there's at least two sections where he said that there's information that the town can provide to consultant.
So away from this natural environment and natural resources section where it says all the things we have to do.
Well, almost every section is gonna have a list of
Yeah,
desired things we want the consultants, or in our comp plan, I should say.
right.
So, and that's towards the end under,
Well, it's just, okay, maybe it's just a layout thing, but you know, they could read this and go, wow, and add that in and then not miss 5 pages later that there are some resources. I mean, the soil map, the wetlands map, we have adopted the unique natural areas as a lot.
Okay,
I
any
like-
other comments or discussion on that? Did we come to a solution there that is that, you know, that can work?
talking overall
Well,
comments.
again, I think condensing some so that these things aren't like 4 pages away from each other, but like are kind of together. Would be one, I could make that suggestion when I submit my comments and it can be considered.
Okay. What else, guys? Anything else on?
No. I think this looks good. I found a little thing here and there. I'll send you the track changes.
I
It's
think
really
all the-
detailed,
All
it's
the
really good.
plan was done very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you did a good job on it.
Very comprehensive. Oh. No pun intended. No pun intended.
That's what we're hoping for. Comprehensive plan that's comprehensive.
So then
So, oh, go ahead.
we're gonna get comments back from the DEC, the lawyer and staff
Yes.
and us Tuesday.
Yes.
And then our next town board meeting is the 26th.
26, yes.
Are they gonna be ready for that?
I believe. Caitlin, can you just confirm, do you need things Wednesday or Thursday for Carissa?
I would need it, if it's already on the list for the 26th. So if I know it's coming, we can actually like do the resolution all in advance. I just need the documentation, by the Thursday, so it can get posted on Friday.
Okay, so our next steps with this is to get Neil's our comments or suggestions by Tuesday. Anything else? Okay, is there any other action that needs to be taken on this, or is there a vote needed on this anywhere at this point?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so either.
That's not an action or.
Yeah.
We have no action. I mean, just to create, just to submit our comments. Okay. Okay, are we ready to move on to new business or?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's hard for me to see
Yes,
what's
not-
happening down there. It just looks like, are they frozen again? Yeah. All right, so we'll move on to our new business item. Just time check, we're at 6:27, so we strive for an hour. We're gonna go a little over. We will definitely end by 7 or before. So new business items of community visioning. Niels, is that you that's leading this discussion as well?
Yep, but because of time constraints, do we want to talk about next meeting or next meetings? And because that might take some time.
Sure. That is true. We do not have,
No, we don't have anything else on the book.
we don't have anything else on the calendar. So, our goal is monthly. We had originally talked about Wednesdays, maybe third Wednesday or something like that. I don't know if we want to just kind of stick with that as a possibility and start there to see if it works with people. Or if we just let me see.
Just for everyone's re-edification, Mondays and Tuesdays don't work because of other board meetings and court.
So the third Wednesday would be, you're saying like the third Wednesday in October, the 18th? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm looking at my schedule and it would not work for me, which that doesn't mean that it
I'm
can't
out
go
of town.
forward. You're out of town, okay. Yeah,
So-
I actually teach a class on Wednesdays in October, so.
Maybe we shouldn't have Wednesdays then, since you're the chair, Ann.
The 11th, does that work?
Yeah, my schedule varies, so it isn't always on a Wednesday.
always
It's not always on a Wednesday, it's just Wednesday in October, so.
All about
third-
Mondays are good after, whatever meeting, usually it's 4:30.
Except there's
to
court
5:30.
in here, so you
Oh.
can't use this room.
Oh, okay,
That was the reason we couldn't have the meetings here.
right, okay.
What about
Thursdays?
Thursday, the 12th? When's the town board meeting? 20,
The 10th.
Thursday's the 12th.
I think I have something on the. Well, that's in, no, wait, Caitlin, where are you doing the,
what was
I
that?
don't-
We have the YEP thing is on the 11th. The 12th is the county youth development.
Okay,
event.
I did something on the 12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
I'm
about,
not-
so if we're looking at the week of the 16th then? Tuesday, the 17th or Thursday, the 19th?
Do we have planning board meeting
Yeah.
on the 17th? Okay,
17th, well, yeah, we can't schedule anything just in case.
okay, so the October, and Thursday, the 19th? Yep, I could do that.
That works
I
for
can
me.
do that.
Thursday the 19th, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm out of town still.
Yeah, I'm out of town. I know, you're back. It's just one day. I mean, we're never gonna find it.
I mean, but that's, what you can do without me. I'm
Right, I won't be
working
here
on
either.
yeah.
What about October 4th or 24th or 26th?
How about we pick a Wednesday or a Thursday sometime in October?
24th, we have a town board meeting.
How about the
The 24th.
5th of
But 26,
October
26 I could do.
or the 5th of October? That's a Thursday.
Let's see, UDC meeting
Let's see.
It's what?
UDC.
Oh,
Let's see.
What about, can I make the suggestion that we try and narrow it down to a couple
5:30.
couple possible ones and send out a doodle poll for responses fairly quickly?
that's 5. We could do the
Okay.
5:30.
Yeah, we could do 5:30 on the.
5:30 on the 5th might be a possibility.
On the 5th? I can do any Thursday in October.
Okay,
It sounds like Tuesdays are out, Wednesdays are out for me. And then we've got some vacation happening. Mondays are not good. So it looks like maybe the 5th or the 26th.
5th is doable.
yeah, I think the 5th,
Fifth?
because the 26th is quite a long way away. And
It is a long ways away.
Thank you.
I hear the 5th works for me.
Okay, so let's do the 5th. Do we want to do 5:30 again?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
And then beyond that, a doodle poll that, so we can try to hone in on something that we could at least put on our calendars and then that'll help us. And everybody won't be able to make everyone, but at least if it's on the calendar.
So it's October 5th at 5:30.
Right, Thursday, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. October 5th at 5:30. I mean, we could go ahead and just pick the first Thursday in November if we wanted to, which would be the 2nd,
right.
if we want to just schedule 2 out. Or actually,
Oh,
I could
that's
do
true. That works.
Wednesday or Thursday. I could do November 1st or 2nd.
Oh, Thursday's good, the 2nd.
Wait, so what date are we talking?
November 2nd.
Oh,
November 2nd.
Okay,
That's fine with me.
At 5:30 again?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do 5:30. Okay. All right, good.
that was the worst part of the meeting, just to get the meeting.
Scheduling is hard.
And actually, that
Okay,
would be Cause November 10th is gonna be the short list for interviews, so we'll probably wanna have a call meeting right before
Oh,
that.
that's a good point, yeah.
Oh, this one's like working out time wise.
All right, good. We've got our meetings all set. Niels, do you want, are we good there?
Yep.
So we've got our next couple of meetings. Do you want to circle back to community visioning and let us know what we need to know about that?
Yeah, and we can touch more base on this next week. I sent out a PDF. I think it came from Morgan. I could be wrong, but anyways, it's an example of what a jurisdiction did for community visioning efforts, and a lot of times visioning is done well in advance of a comp plan. It looks like Ulysses wrapped this into their comp plan at the very beginning last time, and we'll do this again this time. There's nothing wrong with that. But wanted to get your feelings for, if those of you who've gone through visioning, what you'd like to see happen this time. Go from there, because and then we can work this, I think, along with the PIP with the consultant, along with how we'd like to craft our own visioning standard for that. So comments, thoughts?
Yeah, okay, I really like that SWOT, you know, what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threat analysis when you do it in breakout groups, so that you have lots of people working independently in little groups thinking about it with Post-its. That works. I really like the photo mock-ups, like charrettes or something they call them, so that people actually have something to look at, like oh, which would you rather your town look like, this or this? And so they kind of can rank things. We've done that in the past as well, where they kind of look at photos. I don't want my town to look like this. I want it to look like this. So I like that as a way to get engagement. They tend to have a small group of people come. You know, that's the only problem with doing something like that. Maybe we get 25 people, and it's not as comprehensive. That word is useful. It's not as widespread, indicative of what the whole town thinks. So if we could put it with some kind of survey as well, to me, those would be complementary tools to get at what people think about our town.
We can use the farmer's market. I drove by there
That's a
today,
good
and that thing was packed today.
Oh,
That's a great idea.
I mean, even if
Sorry,
we
you're
had
here.
flyers just to pass out,
Yep.
you know, we're gonna have a town meeting and the public's invited. Because there was a lot of people there. I couldn't even
I
find a
would
place to
say
park.
it's pretty skewed though.
Hmm.
Like, you know, my son worked for the library and they would bring books for kids, but they weren't really reaching the kids that they wanted to reach, you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course.
And it's certainly crowded, but
But it's a start.
yeah,
It's just a start. And actually, the library is another place to put flyers. Because
absolutely.
people come and go in there all day long. And the supermarket, that's another place to put it. So any of the public places that people are gonna go, we could have flyers out. And, you know, there's a public meeting, and if we have one or two, I think that would work. At least people will see it. And they can't say, well, we didn't know about it. Well, we put it everywhere we possibly can think of.
Is there a way with that picture, what did you call it?
Charrette,
Charrette?
is that the right term?
Shred's like a. You can use that word. It's also a meeting where you break out in smaller
Small
groups.
groups and
Same
talk
thing.
about things. yeah.
So the pictures you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just trying to think if there's a way to do that
Online.
online.
I
Oh,
think that's
sure.
an interactive tool that we're.
Cause
I could
I
do that.
like the idea of interacting with people at the table and talking through things, cause then
Mm-hmm.
you're also listening to what other people have to say.
Right,
But to get a larger target audience online, where maybe like a couple or a family could be sitting around doing it at a dinner table.
Well, if you had a town meeting, you would have it online anyway. So
Yeah,
you get
but-
people.
Yeah, but
involved.
like to do like something interactive.
Yeah, like a survey
like a
online with
survey
pictures.
online.
I like
right.
A, B, or C
Well,
best.
maybe
Right,
that
yeah.
combines with your survey idea, Rebecca, into one thing, yeah, like an online.
Just
And
for,
That could be
Get
part
more
of it, you know,
and
one of the questions could be that, yeah.
and obviously we're not meeting everybody either there because not
No.
everybody has access to high-speed
Right.
internet in the town.
But we could put it at the library too, people could use the library
Oh, and
computers,
also-
we could have a lot of outreach, we could have a computer here, people could come at some time
You
and
could do
do it.
something at the school.
There's a lot of places, Stick and Stone, they could put them there also, because a lot of people come and go through there. So any of those places would be a good idea.
Because half the town doesn't go to their.
Right, yeah,
A third of the town goes to the school district.
right. So, yeah, I think we have to really think of ways to reach the more southern part of the town where
Yeah.
people don't come up here a lot too. I think so maybe that's a survey or notices getting out, mailed out. I don't know, maybe we mail a postcard and have an online survey
Yeah.
and, you know, if people really can't do it online, they contact us and we find a way to get their information, not online, but I think that there's often been over the years, people are, you know, get unhappy that it's not really recognized as other end of the town.
Well, we could do it the old fashioned way, like politicians used to have their truck with those big speakers
Yeah.
and drive around the neighborhood.
Comp plan is happening.
The
Come and join
bookmobile.
us.
That's right, exactly, yeah.
Get on the comp plan train. But yeah, I think.
I think there's lots of, yeah, it sounds like there's lots of different ideas. We can have in-person meetings, we can do, you know, we can do Zoom meetings, we can do surveys, QR codes, we could do a lot of stuff to get.
So
that
we should
input.
really probably focus on starting to get one of those things going. I mean, we don't need a consultant to start our visioning.
No.
And really, we should, I mean, if we wanted to do something where you put out a notice in the farmer's market as one place, that's gonna end in, you know, the middle of end of October at the latest. So
but
we don't have a lot of time there.
No, but
Right.
the library doesn't end, they're gonna be there all the time.
Right, yeah, no, but
And the
like,
supermarket,
if
all
it
that.
depends on our timing,
Yeah.
so, but I think that's
Yeah.
a really thing to really, like, maybe next time we really come getting ready to nail something down, you know?
Well, we can think about the festivals that we have and the events that are in town. I mean, I don't know what our timing will look like for that, but the Winterfest or whatever, if there's fall, if we have some kind of fall festival, we can.
I was just looking at the timeline.
Yeah, next
Seems like
meeting, we probably.
We should
We don't
start
really,
Yeah.
the RFQ should be
getting
out,
going there, yeah,
so we can devote a lot of the time to the visioning.
I
right.
mean, there's a lot of places that we can probably put flyers that people would
I
allow,
think so
so.
too.
And also, I mean, all the free papers, you can put it in there,
Mhm.
they'll all take it.
Yeah.
The more people we have, the better off we are.
So what
Agreed.
are our next steps with that process? What do we need to do? Are we starting to think about questions? Are we?
Well, if you have any mock-ups or suggestions on the document I sent out, it's linked under the agenda. If anyone has any comments, kind of similar with the RFQ that you'd like to give me, and I can compile that and make a new draft and send that out to everybody.
Great.
You mean the planning, the community visions thing standards PDF you sent?
So, and I'll, just in case people, I'll make it in a Word doc.
Yeah,
So
because
you can-
maybe, yeah, we can target, I mean,
PDF.
this is long and very comprehensive.
It's
so-
really long. Yeah, I was wondering about that, whether, are we just picking the things we want to do out of that?
Yeah, maybe
that
sort of
document.
trying to target, like at least to get started, yeah.
Target
I-
5 things or 3 things,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, maybe that could be part of our task.
Yeah,
Good point, Ann. It's really long, yeah.
yeah, and
We
it's
could-
a little bit redundant here and there, but.
It could, it's a good basis for thinking about like when we choose the tasks we want to do, what would be incorporated in
Yeah,
that.
I agree, I agree.
Yeah.
So maybe we could highlight, you know, our top 3 or top 5. How would you want us to communicate that? Is that something we bring to the next meeting, or do you need it before that?
If people have time to compile that and get that to me a week or 2 before the meeting, that way I can get it out to everybody.
Could you remind
Okay.
us in the
Let's pick
email?
a date. Yeah.
And enough time so that we could do it.
Yep.
Thanks.
So our meeting is gonna be October 5th.
Right,
So our meeting is October 5th, so that is 3 weeks from now. So what if we get it to you by like September 25th? Like 10
Well,
days
this is
ahead
a-
of time.
kind of a big task being on this committee, if you're gonna get it done in anything close to this timeline.
Well, I mean, most people would not do, we gotta pick, I like your idea of picking the top 4 or
Oh,
5
yeah,
items.
yeah,
so
we can't
that's
do all that,
I'm
we're
pretty sure we
small.
all have some overlap. in
And
it.
people won't come, you know, you get exhaustion from the community. And then you
Yeah,
don't-
no, yeah. Do you want, so Niels, if we got you ideas by September 27th, 2 weeks from now, and then you had a week
Yeah.
before our meeting?
27 as a deadline, yeah.
Yeah, let's just put a deadline on ourselves and then we'll all look at it and we'll identify our top few things we'd like to do.
Yep.
Okay. And Niels, you're gonna provide that in a Word doc so we can make
Yes.
changes to it or highlight the ones we like, okay. So, so if we're just gonna make changes right to a Word doc, let's all, maybe, do we all need to like just rename it with our initials at the end or something? So
That's
I
right.
don't know how you want to collect that, Niels, but
Cause we'll be making it it'll be a lot shorter of a document, so that'll.
it's gonna be a lot shorter and we're just gonna highlight what we like. So let's just rename it with our own initials and
Yeah.
make our notes and send them in and then they can get compiled that way.
Great,
Sounds good.
Okay.
all right.
Anything else?
Can I ask one question about the DEC work plan?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
this what the DEC has agreed to?
The DC told us what we're gonna do. It wasn't so much that they.
Is
agreed
it
to-
this? Yeah,
No, so. What I sent out is a compilation, so the. Work plan that we discussed, months ago was outlined very high level, and that's what's highlighted in yellow.
okay,
What Michelle and I took from that, for what we initially got from the. As feedback from DEC to develop their work program is everything in black text, which is basically just a more fleshed out version. What DEC did was, and what we got, I think, right before our last meeting, was deleting everything. They redlined, took out everything and put in their comments, which are in blue purple text. So that's DEC's grant. And so what we did afterwards, after we really dug into their comments, was shuffling their program into our already program, because they really dovetail. I don't know how much really research or if they really read our stuff. I don't. But I basically just shuffled in their work program into our already existing program, so we'll comply with theirs. I don't think we should give up ours, because ours is much more detailed and will keep us on track.
what is did we ever get ours?
That's the one,
That's the one with just the yellow highlights
that's
here?
the highlighted, the yellow highlights is the big picture. and
Right.
The black text is.
Oh, the black text was our detail originally,
Yeah.
and I thought you said that was DEC.
No.
That's our, and then the blue is DEC that you
Blue's
stuck
DEC,
into it.
yeah.
And so, but they're approved, they did approve this?
Well,
Okay.
again, they didn't approve it, they told us we're gonna do the blue stuff.
Okay, right, but
So this is what we have to follow.
yeah, that's
The
what
blue
I'm
stuff is
asking.
what we have to follow.
This whole, the blue is the only thing we absolutely have to follow and send them like documentation or something?
Yeah.
Okay, for the grant. And then, okay, so that's what I was gonna ask. So we're starting from contract negotiations with them, basically. Cause we already did a lot of this, we already formed the committee and everything like that. So we're starting from, basically from contract negotiations with the DEC.
Yep.
Okay, got it. And now are we supposed to be tracking our time again?
Yes,
Were we supposed to add it in from backtracking too?
Yep.
Okay,
so just keep,
so we sent the
Thanks
first
for that
quarter
reminder.
one, but then you want, cause you said, hold on for a little while, but now you do want us to do that.
So we're starting again.
yes,
Okay, so today,
today,
Oh, we don't do the back stuff? You had it in blocked in quarters on those Excel sheets.
yeah, so what I'm understanding is we can, because DC said that we're good to go, so. Please keep track of the work you do in the meetings. Outside the meetings, but
From
also,
now on,
yeah, but also
from today,
give me that information that you have.
give you the back stuff and then start over from today with the Excel sheets.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's easier, just like start. fresh
Yeah.
now.
okay,
Great. Thank you for keeping track of all these details. Seriously.
so today it's
Lot.
5:30 to 7.
Yes,
Okay, so I'm holding down.
6:47.
Time you spent reading all the documentation.
I think we can round it up.
Plus all that other time you
15
spent reading
minutes.
everything, right?
Yeah, plus all that for preparing.
To adjourn.
Second,
before everybody
All
wakes
right.
up.
Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Well, that was fast. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ann.
bye.
Bye.
Enjoy
See
the
you
lake
next
there
time.
for your background is.
I wish that's where I was. That's
I
not
know,
where
I
am.
know. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
I don't think I have to do that.